Hey guys. Yeah. Being estranged as an adult child is something that I never thought would be a part of my story. Or something that I would ever even like publicly speak about. But yet here we are. And I only got inspired to do this video because of the queen, the mother herself, the slum flower, aka Chidera. I'm absolutely obsessed with that woman. If you don't know, get to fucking know, bro. What are you talking about? And especially to all my bad bitches or my girls that want to elevate and become boss bad bitches. Get to know the slumper 10 out of 10. But I've watched a couple of her videos and I've seen her, especially like interviews, stuff like that. And I've seen her speak about how she, at her early teens, she had to cut off her mother and is still currently going no contact for her own personal evolution. And I thoroughly resonated with her story and her reasonings behind this stuff like that because we had very similar upbringings, very similar reasons as to why both of us went no contact. And do you know what? Yeah, even just saying that is a bit like of a, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of like a, I don't know, not necessarily, I don't know how to explain it because I feel like obviously grow as an African child, growing up in an African household, predominantly also like very religious household, respecting your parents is like the pinnacle, the be all, end all of life. But it kind of irks me sometimes when it's like, and yes, I totally agree that respect for your caregivers should be there, but if it's also met with mutual respect, the way, what's it called? Is it Davido or Burna Boy in one of his songs? Respect is reciprocal. That is reciprocal, even though I know say I special. Oh. I just feel like there's so much emphasis on the child, like respecting your parents, doing as you're told, being obedient, etc., etc. But then there's not really much hearsay or conversation about the respect also being pushed back onto the child, and like a big emphasis on creating a healthy dynamic between parents and child. But then also the what's it called? But also the consequences of a adult parent not having that respect for their child, abusing their child, creating a unsafe, abusive environment to where the child feels like now they have to go no contact for their own sanity, for their own mental health, for their own well-being. And you know what? Yeah, I find it fascinating how there's so much like weight put on the child, like especially because I remember when because like I'm not like ashamed to speak about my truth because at the end of the day, it is my truth. Do you know what I'm saying? And I remember at the start when I first went no contact whatever, and people would ask me about like my relationships with my parents or whatever, and I would tell them that like, oh, I'm just doing my own thing, I don't really have like a relationship with them right now, da, da, da. There always seems to be like, I always got the exact same like backlash where it's like, oh, but you only have one mother, you only have one father, etc., etc. And while I understood their viewpoint and I could understand it comes from a place of like, cherish them while they're here, you never know when it's their time to go, and I get that. But I always find it fascinating how like that responsibility is always put on the child, and there's always like a, oh, what could they have done so bad for you to not want to go no contact, when it's like, but that's the thing, like I don't know why people always look at the child first and be like, oh, just talk to them, just try and make it up with them, da, da, da. Do you know what I'm saying? When it's like, but it's never easy, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other like African or Asian or ethnic or even like Caucasians and shit, I'm pretty sure any adult child could to the fact that for you to get to the point of mentally being ready and physically having to cut yourself off from your family members or from your parental figures, it's a very like emotionally, psychologically, mentally like demanding, tasking, draining task to do. Like it's not an easy decision. I remember it took me years, like literally years upon maybe a good like 7 years for me to actually get to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Like I've tried, you know, enough is enough. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like people don't understand how like overbearing, overwhelming such a decision is on the child. And knowing that, yes, I'm going to get backlash. Yes, people are going to look at me sideways. But you know what? I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this for my own personal development. And the only way we can try and, make some kind of relationship dynamic work is if I take time for myself, heal myself, um, and also grow. Do you know what I'm saying? And also hoping that the other party grows as well. But one thing I've realized is that they never really do. But I think I've come to a healthy, because like the moment I realized that, like, okay, it's time for me to, like, cut it quits, I immediately took myself into therapy. Like I'm currently in therapy right now, and I've been in therapy for a long time, like since I was 17, 18. I started therapy. I've been in and out, in and out, in and out, but I'm back in it now. And it's been amazing. I would always, 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 even if you feel like you're not like mentally ill or whatever, I would just recommend everyone go to therapy at least for like 6 months in their life. Cause like I feel like it's honestly, it has transformed me so freaking much. Just from the way I communicate, the way I handle my emotions, the way I just to develop a lot more self-awareness and things like that. But one thing I've realized, and even if you're someone as well that has become estranged from your parental figures or from your family members, it's a difficult thing to swallow. But and unless they are also self-aware enough to realize that the damage that they've done and are willing to also work on themselves to make the relationship healthy, they will never change. They will never change. They will never see the fault in their doing. They will never see how badly you've hurt them, or they will never accept the fact that you have abused them, to where it has become psychologically, emotionally, physically, mentally draining, soul sucking, life altering. Do you know what I'm saying? They will never accept that. But I don't think that should be a thing where now, like, it took me a while to get to that place of realization, because in the back of your mind, I don't know if you guys can, I can only speak for myself, but in the back of your mind you're constantly thinking like, okay, maybe one day they'll get it, maybe one day they'll actually truly apologize, maybe one day they'll actually try and, like, make things work or whatever, and like things will actually change, our relationship actually get healthy. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'll go no contact for a couple of months or something like that, for like a little break, come back, see if anything has changed. No. Go again, come back, see if anything has changed. No. You know what I'm saying? And it gets to a point where it's like, you know what? This is just, I'm now just disrespecting myself. Me going no contact and going back thinking things will change is just a lost cause. So instead of like hoping and wishing for the other party to evolve, you just focus on yourself and then realize that the way you deal with them has to change. I'm not a 15-year-old child anymore. I'm a grown ass 23-year-old that's still growing. I've developed a lot of self-awareness. The way I articulate myself has gotten stronger. My I have a lot more control over my emotions as well. So, like, is this guy staring at me? I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. But nevertheless, but yeah, like you realize that, like, you can't you can't you can't what's the it's a parable, or some, or wait, what's the English? You can't you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can try and educate them, or like articulate yourself as best as you possibly can and be like, oh, this, that, and third. But if the other party aren't willing to actually take accountability, develop some self awareness, and actually go through the healing process as an individual and as a unit with you as well in it, then there's just no point. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I can love you from a distance type of vibe. I think that's where I'm at right now. I because this video, because I feel like this video could get taken out of context. This video isn't to necessarily bash my family members or my parental figures or to insult them or anything like that, but it's more so to educate, adult children or actual children, like teenagers out there that are in the same predicament, and kind of give you a safe space or give you reassurance that you're not crazy. If you feel like doing what you did is your best and healthiest option to get yourself together, then I will always, always recommend putting yourself first and, doing what you need to do to get yourself to a stable mental state. But then also realizing that you can't force other people to accept their wrongdoings. Take accountability to change, because people will only change if they want to. If they see no reason in changing, then they're not going to. But that's also that's not your burden to hold on to. All you can do is make sure you're the best possible person that you can be for yourself, evolve, and move on with your life. And then also, if you do decide to have children, then also be consciously aware that you're not passing down similar abusive traits or similar, you're not putting your child through the same situation that you did, if that makes sense. So you're going to therapy, you're doing the inner work, you're healing, you're doing the soul work, your shadow work, all the extra stuff, you know what I'm saying? To make sure that you are the best and healthiest version that you can be for yourself and for your relationships, whether it's platonic, friendship, that's the same thing. Platonic, romantic, or even like you and your child if you decide to have one. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's it. And it just kind of frustrates me that like there's just so much pressure on the child to make amends when it's like, but for me to get to the point of removing myself from this dynamic, something catastrophic had to have happened, because it's not an easy decision. And I feel like that's one thing people think it is. That's like, oh yeah, I'm to like a talk therapist. No. But it's like, no, like for you to really get to the point where it's like, no, I'm done. Like, I don't want any communication with you. Like, I'd rather put my mental sanity first than this relationship because it's not worth my time. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a very big decision. Like, because with a child, like the first person that you look to for care, for guidance, for love, unconditional love, is your parent. And for you to get to the point where it's like, I'm good without it, it is a very tasking decision. And I just wish society was more educated and was more empathetic. Is that the word? Towards the children, but then also looking at the parent, like, what have you done for your child to not want to be in communication with you? Do you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Maybe we'll get there eventually as a society. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But if you are a child or a teenager or an adult child like me that's also in the same situation, you are still loved. I hear you. And there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first. In fact, I would always recommend it. But yeah, that's that. I don't know how long this video is, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If so, please like, comment, share, subscribe. You're a parent of a child that went no contact. How did that make you feel? Put your own 2 cents in the comments, etc., etc. Did you eventually change and evolve, or are you still in no contact with the child, etc., etc.? Are you aware? Just add your 2 cents in the comments. I don't know, but yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.